Welcome! In front of me is the brand new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at this device. Now before I even get started, I'm just going to quickly mention that I am a person who'll be reviewing this coming straight from the Fold 4. So I've been using that since the release, and I had a couple different problems with it, so we'll see if whatever I found to be a problem here is in a way resolved. So let's just get straight into it. Now, that being said, the price of this device hasn't changed at all. It's still $1,800, and also the packaging hasn't changed at all, which is a downside because, let's be honest, this device isn't cheap. It costs $1,800, and Samsung decides to not even give you a freaking charger in the box. Like, $1,800. Come on, it's a effing charger. Just include it in a box. But luckily, they do include a cable. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised once they decide to cut that out because it's e-waste. So, there's our cable. Now, obviously, for probably a lot of the people, most of these cables are kind of useless because if you have a charger, you usually have a Type A charger, not a Type C. So this is a cunt move, basically forcing you to buy a charger separately as well, if you plan to use their garbage cable anyway. Now, here we have the device, and that's basically all you get for $1,800. Let's open this up. There we go. And here is our brand new spanking Fold. It looks pretty okay. That's interesting. So, alright, this is my Fold. So yeah, I bet you can even tell the difference. They are... Oh no, they actually can. We have the little flash outside of the housing. Okay. At the front, let me just kind of clear mine up so it looks a little bit cleaner. The hinge is a little bit slimmer, so that's one. And the device itself actually seems a little bit smaller. So it is shorter. In terms of bezels, they look about the same. Now, one thing that I can tell right away, which is a little bit better, as the hinge, it feels like it has a spring. It locks into place, right? So you have a... There we go. So it does, at the very end, lock into place, but it feels like it has a spring that is pushing it apart when you're trying to open it up, which is a pretty nice thing because if your hands are sweaty, opening this up, it takes a little bit more effort. It is clam shut, and it does sometimes, at least for me, my fingers tend to slip from it, and it was just harder to open it up. Now, additionally, it also looks like it's thinner. Nope, that's about the same thickness. But, major change here is the hinge. So, you no longer have a gap. As you can see, this one had a gap, this one does not. So, let's turn it on. Now, another thing that I did notice with also the flip as well as the Fold, the hinge feels smoother. So opening it up and closing it feels much better, though there is way more resistance when closing it, so it's a little bit weird. But once it opens, it does kind of flip fully, at least for the time being. Something that I think mine... Yeah, it's kind of like, that's basically it being open when it just tries to open it up, and as you can see, it's not all the way, so I could just kind of force it to be fully straight. It's a little bit weird. They're also about the same size, the same weight, give or take, probably a couple of grams. So let's get into the specs right here, because those will be the most underwhelming for this device. So, just quickly move this out of the way. We're looking at a 7.6 inch display, 1812 by 2170 6 pixels. That's the inside, which is exactly the same as the last year version. The outside cover display, or we can even call that a cover display, that is a 6.2-inch display with a resolution of 904 by 2316. So both of these phones basically have the same resolution. And the only difference is the hinge. Now, question is it worth for you paying, again, $1,800 for a brand new device just for that hinge? Because everything else apart from that and the brighter display is the same. Even the cameras are the same. So that being said, the cameras are 15 megapixel wide sensor, 10 megapixel telephoto, and 12 megapixel ultra wide. And then at the front, we have a 4 megapixel wide sensor, and then inside we got a 10 megapixel wide sensor. So yes, we got a plethora of cameras right here, and just as before, the inside camera is hidden. As you can kind of see it, this little circle right here, that's the camera. It does turn off the pixels when you try to capture a photo right here, but other than that, it is hidden. And unlike ZTE, I think that was the first manufacturer that decided to add under display cameras, Samsung has not improved whatso freaking ever over the previous version image right here. So if I bring it up closely, hopefully it can catch, camera can catch it. There we go, we can kind of see it right now. The pixels right there are really visible. Now, if you ever have any content that you will look at generally right here, which happens sometimes, you will see this. It's quite distracting when the content that you're seeing right here is just absurdly pixelated, text or anything like that. Obviously, Samsung tries to mitigate that as much as they can so it's not visible, but believe me, once you open up applications that don't really care about Samsung and they're trying to hide it, and for instance like white background, you will quickly notice that cutout right here, or the pixelation that will be happening around it. Now, I will actually go to a quick setup right here because previous version of this device had a superb sound quality, so I assume it's still $1,800 device and I cannot skip the freaking Wi-Fi connection. Are you kidding me, Samsung? So anyway, I kind of want to check out the sound quality, but continuing on with the specs, the base version of this device, oh great, and then restart, comes with 256 gigs of storage and 12 gigs of RAM, and goes all the way up to 1 terabyte and 12 gigs of RAM. So I believe these are about the same specs that you can get for the fourth one, so it doesn't really differ that much. Though it is using UFS 4.0 as its storage type, so it should be a little bit quicker than the previous one if I remember correctly. I'm gonna check it though. Yeah, so the Fold 4 was using a UFS 3.1 storage type, so this one will be faster. Now, just as before, in this device we do have a fingerprint sensor mounted on the side. obviously the only one that you will get. There is no under display sensor, neither on the flexible display or on the cover. Just quickly go through this. One thing that I always find interesting with Samsung is their devices get warm just from setup. I don't think many devices do that, but it's just hilarious to me. It just makes you think, what kind of garbage is running in the background for the processor to be this used so you can actually feel the heat dissipation. Now, just try to quickly go through the setup so we can see the home screen. Come on. Now, I will mention one thing looking at the specs right here, which is an insult and was before and still is the charging speed. It's an absolute middle finger from Samsung. This device, like I keep saying, costs $1,800, and we get a decent battery size at 4,400 milliamps. Which is about the same, exactly the same as the previous one. And just as the previous one had, we are charging this device at max speed of 25 effing watts. So $1,800, 25 watts. This is a budget charging speed. So great, Samsung. Go shove that speed up your 4 letters and give me an actual, like, at least 33 watts, preferably 65. And I don't care if your battery explodes. If it does, it's your fault. Now, that being said, I do want to touch upon this portion right here. More importantly, the screen protector. Because I think we all know that don't put anything up between the plastic display because it can get literally damaged from a hard press of your fingernail. That's how durable it is. But what I'm more referring to right here, or want to focus on, is the cover, which basically they tell you not to peel off, and you can see it inside right here. They actually did a pretty good job making it almost indistinguishable. You can see just a little bit of an edges right here, but it is here. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because this cover for this display starts to come off anywhere between like 7 months to 12 months, something along those lines. Mine took 10 months to start to basically gain dirt and air under here. And obviously, you will see YouTubers telling you that you can peel that off. Don't worry, it will work. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because by peeling it off, you lose warranty. So Samsung has a kind of an annoying thing where peeling it off loses warranty, and the only way you can obviously not lose warranty is by taking this device to Samsung, and they will do a free of charge replacement. Now, they will void your warranty if you removed it or if you neglected it for too long. So if there is, I don't know, maybe some damage, they never, because I did replace mine, they didn't really specify it, but if I would neglect the little cover here for too long, and I guess too much crap would get between it, or maybe it would damage the display, they would void my warranty regardless if I peeled it off or not. Which, like, what the hell? So if your cover starts to come off, a little plasticky screen protector, you can go to Samsung and they will replace it free of charge as long as your device is on warranty. So that is a nice thing to know if that starts happening to you, and it will. Now, there is, well, not really much more to say about this device. It's, like I mentioned at the start, a uninspiring upgrade to the previous Fold 4. Previous Fold 4 wasn't already a major upgrade to even the previous one, so Samsung is just literally settling down with their garbage production of their foldable devices. Now, I do like my Fold. This one is obviously nicer than what I have, but at this point, Samsung is just dropping the ball, and there's no one to spank them around for doing so, because any other folding phone like this one If it's decent, it's China only. And it's the most disappointing thing as a person that was originally looking for a folding device. I wanted to stay away from Samsung. I just genuinely don't like Samsung. And problem was, there was no way for me to do so because any device that I wanted to get was China only. I could not get it in Europe. And it is very disappointing that only other folding devices that are being sold in Europe, and I presume also in the US, are ones that you don't want. Just because they're worse than this and basically cost the same amount. I want something better than this and cost either the same or less, which, again, China provides it, but only in China. So I hope that in the future, when manufacturers finally bring other folding devices to the market, or global market more precisely, Samsung will finally get shafted by consumers and realize that their garbage that they have been producing and reheating in the microwave is finally not gonna sell. Because at the moment it will sell, which is a disappointment because this is the most uninspiring generational upgrade that I have ever seen in phone market. Like, it literally looks the freaking same. There is almost zero reason if you have this one, the Fold 4, to go for Fold 5. And I guess if you're planning to buy one, it's a decent device. Obviously, US, Europe, that's your only device that you can get, but doesn't change the fact that these are not worth the money. And that's the biggest problem. They're severely overpriced and there is no competition that will put Samsung in its place right now. So that being said, if you don't really want or really need a folding device, I'd recommend just waiting maybe to the next generation, a year from now, 2 years from now, if that is a viable solution for you, till Samsung finally gets competition and has to provide you with a better device that will be worth the money a little bit more than this. Now, I will basically conclude my rant. I do want to point out a couple of things that I didn't mention as the problems that I've had. So Samsung does have its own skin over Android. It's the Android, 12 or 13L for the folding devices. It also provides you with the little dock. Now this dock is only accessible if you're using Samsung launcher. If you try to skip it or use different launcher, even though this dock is technically Google's option, it's changed by Samsung to the point that it's no longer accessible to you if you're using a secondary launcher or third-party one. And just to showcase this, I'm just gonna show it up. So I'm using, I don't remember which one was it. Smart Launcher, there we go. And I don't have, let me just open something up that actually wouldn't coincide. So even though I am using a launcher, I don't have access to the little dock at the bottom. And previously there was a way to kind of gimmickly enable it. It still wouldn't work correctly, but Samsung decided to patch it up instead of fixing and allowing you this, because why would they give you what you paid for when they can not? Another thing that will be a absolute joke for people that like freedom on their devices: for $1,800, this device isn't yours. And if you, for instance, unlock the bootloader, we're not even talking about flashing the OS on here. We're just talking about unlocking the bootloader, your cameras, and a bunch of Samsung applications will cease to work. You will no longer have access to your cameras, and you have several of them here. Now, locking up the bootloader will fix up the problem, but the comical thing is, Samsung is claiming that it's for security purposes. Okay, whatever, nice bullshit, but let's say I will bite. So they disable your cameras, which not really sure how that is for your security purposes, but they don't disable the freaking fingerprint sensor. Don't bullshit if you're not gonna do this correctly. So, like I said, there are several problems that I do have with Samsung, in particular, what they do with the devices, and I really hope they will get competition soon enough so they can stop doing this shit. Now, with that being said, maybe you found this video helpful, informative, fun. If you did, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.